Hello, welcome to another episode of Mind Matters. Here we interview eminent personalities and try to learn best practices used by them to handle adversity. Let's meet our guest today.
So please allow me to welcome today's guest in Mind Matters. Mr. Atul Bhatnagar is an alumni of IIT Kanpur and IIM Calcutta. He has over 28 years of corporate experience in India and abroad with companies like Citibank India, HSBC UAE, Barclays Kenya, besides Tata Motors and National Skill Development Corporation. Since 2016, he found his calling in being an independent advisor to social impact organizations in the field of skill development, renewable energy, education, and fintech. He is also a TEDx speaker and a winner of Male Diversity Champion Award. And there are lots of charitable things that he does. He's a champion of people with disability, and there are some great things that he's doing in this field. So, welcome to the show, Atulji. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Amit. Thanks for considering me for this talk. I really appreciate your kind words of introduction. Yeah.
Okay. So let me
All set.
start by asking you, Atulji. You have had such a long career and varied career. So how do you handle this adversity? So what do you do when you face adversity? How do you handle that?
Well, adversity for me, it has evolved over a period of time because initially it used to be, self-pity. Why me? Why is it
Right.
happening to me? Why is
Right.
it? Why have I been chosen for this adversity? But after having been associated with the art of living, where
Okay.
a lot of meditation and knowledge processes one is given to embrace, and it's not about doing the training course, it's about imbibing the meditation and the knowledge pieces that are given to us. I think I've been able to handle adversity as well part of a role. I mean, I'm here to play a role. It's a very big, let's say, theater. The entire world is a theater, and one has to do this role. So when one has to do the role, then you have to do it to the best way possible. In a movie, when the villains, some of the most respected villains like Pran and Ranjit, I mean, they're hated for what they did on stage, but they are respected for the humans that they are. So same if we were to apply it to our own lives and see adversity as a phase in life which one has to undergo, then it becomes very easy, or let's say more adaptable. So no longer the feeling of why me? Well, if it's me, then let me do it. And second, it's not here to stay for all the time to come. Whatever is there changes. So
Right.
there will be a change, and one can always look at the upswing. So right now we're talking of COVID. Everybody's, let's say, affected. The diversity is right now common to everyone.
Correct.
Now it's a matter of how you want to take it forward. I mean, yes, we are locked down. We are within our own homes. Uh, Many people are scared about going out. There are various kinds of reports coming in. But how do you adapt to this? So, in this whole process, one has to feel that you are not really dependent on others. You have to make yourself a whole human being, and that's what meditation teaches you. You yourself as a machine or as a human being or whatever you call it, as an entity, you've been given all the devices within you to work with. You don't have to look outside. You don't have to look at, saying, if I had this and if I had that and if I had something else also, I would have been better off, or maybe I would not have been in this situation. You have all the pleasures of the world. You had everything that you wanted to, and yet the richest person and the poorest person are all facing the same adversity in the same time. So,
Correct.
material possessions or possessions that you can acquire from outside are not the ones that one should be looking for. The possessions that you have within you, the journey within, is what is more important in handling any adversity. So, if you can manage yourself, you can manage others and you can manage life.
Very nice. So the lessons here are breathing exercises, art of living, meditation, and journey within, and not going after the material possession and taking it as a temporary phase in life. So this is something which is taught in Gita also, to being in the world but staying detached. Like you said that you're just playing a role. So very nice.
Yeah.
So any life changing
So
experience?
well, same thing. I mean, you should not get. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Go on,
Well,
Atulji.
life-changing experience happened when I got introduced. When I got into. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go on.
Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, after doing my MBA, which is typically very Western oriented, you rightly said Bhagavad Gita was one of the is a book of management, which unfortunately the Indian management system is now adapting a little bit, but it should have adapted a long time back. Having worked in three of the more, say, international organizations, we were all exposed to all these, metrics and work enlargement and brainstorming and all the other things which look for things outside of you. Whereas the spiritual part of the Bhagavad Gita or the adaptation and learnings are look within. So instead of looking at brainstorming, we look at brain stilling to get creativity, to get the best of your life. Instead of looking at work satisfaction and work enlargement, you look at work enrichment. I mean, how do you do the work? And it's not about, okay, look, work enlargement means, okay, look, I have got a P&L which is running into billions and I manage so many thousands of people across the world, etc. Well, no, that's not the way you can all the time, let's say, motivate yourself, especially when you retire, then you have nothing. I mean, you're back to your own self. I think one has to be now, even if you're doing a desk job, or let's say the sweeper who's cleaning the streets on the of a particular colony. I mean, the sweepers that are there, the municipal workers who come there. How do you motivate the person if he is cleaning it very well? You can't say, okay, today instead of one street, I'll give you two more streets, and therefore you've got a bigger so work. I've enlarged your work. No, that's not the way. You are not. Uh, why is he doing it so well? He is doing it because he sees it as his role and he is, let's say, offering his services to a bigger, uh, let's say, society
Purpose.
or
Yeah.
supreme being. Where those who believe in God, then he'd say, okay, this is my role that's been given to me by God and I better do it to the best possible manner. And that's how he's keeping himself motivated. I think that's the way we should be looking at it. So when I was going through all this rat race that happens in an international bank, we were all freshers to start off with. We were all measuring ourselves in terms of when did you get your first promotion, or what's the size of your increment, and what's the kind of job you got, and how many people are rotating it. When are you getting promoted? All the kind of things that one gets into as a rat race and gets all this anxiety and stress. And then came this art of living and meditation and looking within. And I said, okay, this is, it doesn't matter whether I'm being promoted first or ahead of somebody else or not. What matters is my own human self. Am I satisfied with my own human self? Am I keeping my body in shape? Am I keeping my mind in shape? And art of living teaches you how using breath itself, you can control your own mind. And through your own mind is what gets you good sleep. So it doesn't matter how much my bank balance I have. It might actually be a wrong thing if I've got too much money and I have to pay taxes and I get very stressed off on it. I should
Right.
have enough to get a good sleep. And that's what I should be aiming for. So when I did the Art of Living courses, it just changed my whole perspective from outside to within. I think that was the life-changing experience.
When did you start doing art of living, Atulji? How
Year
long back?
2000,
Okay,
nearly 20 years. 20 years.
long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. So is that the secret of your being energetic, or how do you stay energetic nowadays in current times?
Well, this is well, art of living, the meditation, the Sudarshan Kriya that one does. I think that is, in a way, you call it as oxygenation of yourself. I mean, your, our body, your body, anybody's body is really working on oxygen. I mean, not because the moment you take away oxygen, that's it, finished, end of story.
Correct.
Each of the cell and the billions and trillions of cells that are within, they are being oxygenated. So on a very, very, let's say, basic level, one would say that meditation and this breathing exercises tends to energize you. I don't go to gyms and run on the treadmill and sweat myself out. I just do those rhythmic breathing exercises that are taught in Art of Living, and I apply the knowledge to myself, and that keeps me fully energized at any point in time.
So what's your daily schedule like? See, the reason I'm asking is because you are one person who by God's grace is engaged in so many things. You work for people with disability. I have seen you participating in, those events for disability, for disabled people that you participate in. You are an advisor to many companies, and you do a lot of other charitable work also. So how do you find time for all this? So how do you, what is your daily schedule like? How do you plan? Is there any tools that you use? So how do you do that? How do you manage to get everything done in those 24 hours?
Well, I'm not so heavily occupied during the day, but having said that, I do kind of apply. Let's say my mind is more of a thinking job than really moving desks and chairs. It's not a physical job that we do. So, of course, on morning I start off with the morning walk itself, and then come and do my kriya. That's very important. I think for me, kriya is more important than breakfast, because that is the first thing that, and I usually do my kriya without having anything in my stomach at all.
Okay.
And then, well, after doing the normal chores of bath and all that, you kind of sit down, and I am more of a spontaneous person. I don't have a to-do list kind of stuff every day. I will do something and scratch it out. Yes,
Okay.
nowadays things have changed because of webinars, etc. You can't move out, so you tend to look at those webinars which are mind enriching that way. So we look at those two. And in between, of course, webinars come secondary, but yes, if there is some work that is happening, let's say in Sarthak yesterday, we were trying to, I was on the call with the programmers for nearly 2 hours. We're trying to establish a learning management system for people with disabilities. And we are also looking at how this new model of learning will happen for people with disabilities, So till now, Sarthak was doing, say, they had 19 locations, physical locations in India, where there were classroom training. So you invite people over from various places, and you talk to them. So you mobilize people with disabilities. These are people who are scared, who are slight, their confidence levels are low, the self-esteem is low. Even then, some of them want to work, but then their parents come in between. What will happen to my kid if he goes out or she goes out? So all those things have to be talked through. So it's literally 6 months you take to mobilize one person really to, give him the confidence, give the parents the confidence for the person to come across. Now all that was happening in a physical world where there's a classroom and all that bit. Now with COVID, I think that this work from home now is a norm to stay. So previously, the same PWDs would have been happy working from home, but people were not accepting them. Now, whether people with disabilities or people without disabilities, they're working from home, and that's an established norm. So it's a great leveler, I'm saying. Now, since it's a leveler, let's see what new things can happen in these ways of things. Now, I have not been told to think of new things, but these are the thought processes that I have, and I do, let's say, strategic thinking, then I talk to the CEO of Sarthak and the board of Sarthak and decide on is this a good way to go ahead? Because we are all thinking together. It's not me alone. So we are now looking at, okay, look, when we can reach out, we don't need some 19 locations. Now the world is our location. We can reach out to any person anywhere. Unless you talk of India, then you don't have to have these 19 locations where people are sitting and talking, getting people from the neighborhood or nearby 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers, arranging hostels for them to come and stay and then come to a class and get taught and then interviews, etc. The whole process. Now we can do from where they are, and and not only that, not only one instructor teaching them the entire stuff. We can now break it up. Look, the English class will be held by a particular instructor who has the proficiency, who knows sign language, who can do multiple other things. Because teaching PWD is different from teaching other people. Let's say.
Correct.
Because there's a certain pace, there's a certain empathy you have to impart when you are giving your lesson. The kind of instructions to be given by some other person. So we are now going to go in competency and proficiency of a person. So, and this was my dream also. Okay, look, if I were to do things online, then I would rather do physics from MIT and chemistry from Melbourne and some economics from St. Stephen's and from Bombay University, some other subject, wherever the proficiency and the expertise is. And I get a boundaryless kind of a degree. So I'm not belonging to one university or something else, or not even a degree, or let's say a piece of paper to say that, yes, I did this course and I did this course fairly well. So same thing can apply to our PWDs now and for other people. We have to rethink and reimagine this whole new world. So I am in that process of coming up with ideas to kind of share and implement. So yesterday's learning management system thing, we were talking about these only, rather than having a classroom and one class teacher teaching some 3-4 subjects and all other subject teachers coming in. And that also into that classroom of 40 odd people. Now let the classroom be 4,000 people. How does it matter? And various other places. So why do we watch TED Talks? Why do we watch Josh Talks? Or these are people who have got excellent oratory skills. Plus, they have done something very, very unique, and people would like to listen to them. So we now string those kind of talks together to form learning for people sitting from wherever they are. They just have to tune in and go through it. Of course, then subsequently the software takes over and irons out those differences that you have, and you may not have understood some portions. You might like some things to be repeated. All those things can be technology done. So there is a nice mix of technology and knowledge, and which you can put together and create an entirely new system by which you can teach people, or by which people can learn. It's not about teaching, it's about learning now.
Very nice. So for viewers' benefit, I would like to add that Sarthak is a non-profit organization, especially for people with disabilities. And how many people with disabilities lives have you touched so far, Atulji, under Sarthak?
Nearly 18,000 people have been trained and employed in various organizations in India. But even then, it's really 1% of the entire population who's into PWDs can really work. And we find them very, very productive. First of all, they are loyal. So they are not hunting for which organization is giving me the next 500 rupees increment or something like that. No, they are, once they sign on, they're on. Second, they don't have to look at WhatsApp and coffee breaks and, so they're very, very focused. So the productivity is high, their loyalty is high. And well, initially, yes, you need to train them and you make them comfortable, and that's it. After that, they're on. So I think that there's a great potential. You just have to match skills. They can't do all the things that everybody else may be so-called qualified to do. But what they can do really well. And they can outsmart any other person at the job. Yeah.
Very nice, Atulji. So how can our viewers...
Sarthak is into that.
Right. So how can our viewers, how can they help in case they want to contribute as a person working at a high post in a corporate or as an individual? So how can they contribute or they get involved in these in this wonderful initiative that you are doing?
Yeah, one is to, first of all, try and, let's say, adapt the learnings that Sarthak already has, and there are many others. I'm not saying Sarthak is the only one.
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain job roles which are best suited to them. So look within your own organization. If you are in a corporate, look within your own organizations where certain jobs can be given to persons with disabilities. And these are people, and now there's a government mandate of 2% has to be reserved, or a system where you can have people with disabilities employed usefully. But I'm not against it. I'm not really for the quota system or mandatory system kind of stuff. I'm more saying, look, if you really want to embrace them, then that is the way by which you can create the entire ecosystem around them. So, by which they can show their talent really and prosper in the talent. Like, say, Lemon Tree Hotels, 18% of their workforce is people with disabilities.
Okay.
And they have this, let's say, internal guideline that once a person joins in, within 2 months or 3 months, the person should know sign language, irrespective of whether you are a PWD or not a PWD. So they have created that bonhomie. Look, you can converse with them whichever way you want to, and they've got a pretty high rate now. Of course, with hospitality industry now taking a downturn, and not very many people there will be people losing jobs now. So the people who are trained, who had a previous job, now will be out of a job. They need to be reabsorbed. So we need to kind of find them ways to reemploy them. So that's point number one. Second point is, look, we need to create the entire ecosystem around us, and it applies more to people in say outside of their houses. We talk about ramps, and we talk about escalators and lifts, and whether the lift itself can take a person with disability in or not. Now, look at it this way. Look, we are all going to get old. Old age is, you cannot wish it away. You can't say, no, I'm not going to get old. I'm not going to be having these problems. Now, when we get old, our hearing is going to get impaired. Our eyesight is going to get impaired. Our movement will be slower. We may need a wheelchair or some kind of assisted devices. So we will, in all true terms, getting more and more disabled. Correct. Now, at that time, and picturize yourself in an old age kind of situation. You don't want to be dependent on others. You don't want to be dependent on your let's say, children or neighbors or anybody to be able to take you to a movie in a mall, and hire a Uber cab, or go out shopping, or buy vegetables, or even cross the road, or get into a bus. Just because we can do it now doesn't mean that we will be able to do it all the time. There will be problems, and just apply it to yourself only. There will be those problems that will be coming in. So why not start creating that world that will suit you in your old age now? That's it. If you can do it now, then otherwise what will happen is, in your old age, we will be the people who are disabled, and the people who have been disabled will be differently enabled. As you rightly mentioned about the lady, she doesn't need an assisted device, and she may be not able to see, but she can find a way up and down. Imagine for us, you have to climb stairs. You first say, where is the lift? Lift is not working. How am I going to go up? And what am I going to do? And all kinds of stuff. You miss a step. The lighting is not clear. So right from the home itself, I mean, why can't we have handrails? Why can't we have the toilet door a bit bigger so you can walk in with or rather you can take a wheelchair inside it, or you can take a walker inside it? Why can't your let's say light switches and your cooking switches, let's say, be at a place you can make your own Maggie sitting on a wheelchair? You don't have to stand, because if you stand, then you have pressure on your back, etc. Whatever it may be the case. So visualize that world for yourself and try and make that world outside of you. And everybody, becomes more inclusive. You don't have to start a special project. No, today I'm going to get some ramps made because that's I have to support PWDs and that's a minimum requirement. Don't take it as a minimum requirement. Take it as the requirement for you yourself and for the people around you. So then it becomes an inclusive society.
No, I can relate to this, Atulji. I was reading Nasiruddin Shah's autobiography. So when he was shooting for the movie Sparsh, where he was playing the role of a blind man. So for research, he came to Delhi and spent some time with the principal of a school for blind people, and they were having dinner. The 2 3 actors with the director, the principal of the school, and when they were climbing down the stairs, suddenly the electricity failed and it was dark. So the principal was the only person who could actually climb down the stairs because he was anyway used to do it. So he was very
Yeah.
so going ahead in our old age, we have to accept that all of us are going to have disabilities, and unless we have that attitude to be disability friendly, people with disability friendly, it's us who are going to suffer, because the way it's working right now, our kids may be abroad in some other city, and the societies, we don't have the same touch, the personal touch or the connectivity like we used to have maybe 20 30 years back, and you are almost all alone in a high rise society with nobody to take care of. So unless we start having that mindset of being friendly, or creating that ecosystem. Very nice, Atulji. I fully agree with you. So Atulji, one of the last questions. So see, everybody has we are humans, and everybody has those dark days in one's life. Everybody has that, like you said, that whether you are rich or poor, or so, how did you learn to handle those dark days?
Well, when I did not have, let's say, a spiritual bent of mind, I used to fret and fume and have self-pity. But once I learned, okay, look, we are part of a bigger game. And with having a scientific bent of mind with spirituality, you can see why things happen the way they do. And at the base, I mean, we are all made of trillions of atoms, and each of our atoms, whether it's you or me, is the same. It still has the same
Correct.
nucleus, it has the same proton, it has
Correct.
the same electron. Those don't
Correct.
change. It's only the multiple, the infinite permutation combinations that makes you different from me, because you look different, I look different, you talk different, I talk differently. But the fact of the matter is, right at the very base, it's all the same. So once you say
Correct.
it's all the same, then whatever is happening to you is, was, let's say, meant for you. It was part of, let's say, your karma. I mean, I'm a great believer in karma theory. Now, having been this adverse situation now and not knowing why it's happened to me, what you can best do is, let's make sure that doesn't happen to you in future. And whatever
Correct.
things are there will pass. So
Correct.
whatever is the current situation will pass. And while you are reacting to the current situation, let's be, like, say, in the present moment, try and do things which shouldn't spoil your future. So that should be your mantra. Look, do your right thing, no matter how bad the situation might be. And whatever comes in future, accept it. And whatever is happening to you is for the best. So let it be. Let it be so.
Very nicely said, Atulji. So any final message for our viewers in the current time?
Well, message is only this: look, be cognizant of the fact that we are all the same. What you see from your eyes is what discriminates one from the other, and that, I would say, is the mithya. That's the falsehood one should be aware of. Okay, look, we are not different; we are the same. Second, having an awareness about you. You may have bad thoughts, you may have angry thoughts, but all of that will pass. Try and govern your life such that, with the awareness that it is okay to have bad thoughts. It is okay, fine. But it's not okay to act badly with those bad thoughts. So, what is your own internal mechanism that you have? if you keep your awareness with you, you will be always be guided to the right thing, and whatever is happening to you is the best. So believe in it, and you will have less stress. You will have stress. I'm not saying you're going to be a saint here. I also have stress. No way. But having said that, how do you manage it is what the key to the keep life.
Correct. Very nice. Both these two messages, very nice messages, Atulji, because in Indian spirituality also we have the concept of Advaita. So we are all one. So
Yeah.
we are not two. We are one with God, and we are one. And as a healer, I can only heal people when I have this firm belief that the person I am healing, I'm him or her. I'm connected to that person. We are all one. So thank you, Atulji. Thank you for sharing some details about the wonderful work you are doing and sharing these messages. I'm sure it will benefit a lot of people to learn from your experience and your learning. Thank you so much, Atulji.